So you're delivering a speech tomorrow, and you're wondering what can be done in the final 24 hours leading up to that speech. Don't worry, you have come to the right place. In this video, I am going to break down how you can best utilize the day leading up to delivering a speech to make yourself as prepared as possible and deliver the best speech that you can. Hey everyone, my name is Wade Patterson, and the thing I am passionate about is impactful communication, which includes all sorts of things, including public speaking, communication in general. I have some videos on social media. I even have videos on how to launch a podcast. So if any of that content sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. So before I get into the idea of the 24 hours leading up to a speech, I should say if you haven't even started practicing your speech, you're kind of in a tough spot because practicing should be done well in advance. This is a tip I give on almost every one of my videos because I know how incredibly important it is. So if it's not just 24 hours away, let's say your speech is in a couple weeks, start the practicing process now. However, this video is going to break down that last 24-hour period and what you can focus on. Let's assume that you're giving a speech at 6 p.m. tomorrow and it is 6 p.m. the day before that. This is the perfect time for you to do a final run through of your speech from start to finish, the full thing. In other videos, I talk about it's a good idea to practice your speech in front of family members or friends to get feedback. And that is a great tip most of the time, but I'm actually going to suggest you don't do that 24 hours before the speech. The reason for that, the worst thing that can happen when you have a speech at a certain point is to have somebody tell you you should completely change it or mix it up. When you're 24 hours away, you are committed to whatever that speech is going to look like. And if you've done the proper practice previously, you should be fine. So if you really insist on having a family member or friend watch your speech, I would suggest do that the week before, maybe a couple weeks before, when you actually have time to put some thought behind completely changing your speech, but don't do it 24 hours before because you need to build your confidence. Confidence is one of the most important factors of giving a speech, and if you shake that confidence with somebody else's opinion, it's going to put you in a tough spot. After you've done that full practice run through and maybe you've gone over it a couple of times and you're feeling pretty good about your speech, my next piece of advice, get a full sleep, a full night's sleep. I'm talking minimum 8 hours. It's hard enough delivering a speech when we're feeling fantastic, but when you are sleep deprived, you didn't sleep great the night before, it makes it so much more difficult. Our bodies require really great sleep, especially before we're about to perform some sort of activity, and a speech is that ultimate test, that ultimate performance in front of a group of people. It's one of the things that is most feared in life, so it is so important that you get a solid night's sleep. If you can do 8 to 10 hours, that's fantastic. You're going to wake up the day of your speech feeling rested. Now here's the thing, and I get it. Many times we deliver speeches at weddings, and many times the festivities in and around the weddings involve drinking and alcohol and late night parties, and I fully understand that, but be somewhat responsible in your decisions. I know that I'm not saying don't have a great time. Have a great time, enjoy yourself, but maybe instead of having 5 beers the night before your speech, consider having 2, kind of laying off on those a little bit so that you're able to have a great night's sleep, wake up refreshed the next morning, and then after you're done your speech on the night of the wedding, if this is the example we're using, then yes, celebrate with a beverage after that, but it is incredibly important to get that full night's sleep the night before. All right, you wake up the next morning, you got your full sleep, and you're, let's say, 10 hours away from speaking. What do you do now? You do a final check to make sure all of your resources are ready to go. What do I mean by resources? If your speech involves any sort of PowerPoint slide or visual aid, make sure that is working. Make sure you have put it on a backup USB and perhaps sent it to the MC if this is a wedding that we're talking about, or whatever the factor. Whoever's organizing the event at which you are speaking, make sure they have a copy of whatever visual aids that you need, if it's PowerPoint, and make sure you have a backup copy. Or maybe you're using notes of some form. Tuck those away. Have those in your bag that you're taking to the event. Do a double, triple check that you have everything that you could need for that speech in order to make it go well. Fast forward closer. Now we're an hour or a couple hours away from the actual time you're about to give your speech. If you have the opportunity, get to the venue a little bit early and familiarize yourself with the room. I'm a big believer in visualization, and I can't tell you how many times it's made a real difference for me walking to the front of a room where I'm going to give a speech later on and simply looking out. Even if nobody's in the room, you just see the chairs that are out there, but visualizing yourself in a few hours, giving that speech, what it's going to look like. If you have notes, where the notes are going to be, plan it out, become familiar with the area, and that is going to build confidence. Confidence is the theme of this video because that is what is so important. The last 24 hours, it's all about building your confidence, and that step of getting to the venue early and becoming familiar with the stage or wherever you will be speaking from is going to do wonders for your speech. As we get even closer to the time you're speaking, if you have an opportunity to speak to the MC or the host or whoever it is that will be introducing you to give your speech, find out or confirm the agenda order and know when it is that you're going to deliver your speech so that in your head you are mentally prepared and you are ready to go when they call you up. And the final piece of advice I have in the 24 hours leading up to the speech, this one's 5 minutes before your speech, have a full glass of water and have it nearby. Our bodies, in particular our mouths, they play some tricks on us when we are giving a speech. And the one that is incredibly common is getting a dry mouth. It sounds weird, but it happens. And the result is that gross sounding sound that we are trying to speak and our mouth is just completely dry. It happens incredibly often to speakers, and the solution to this is having water nearby, and it doesn't look odd to your audience. If you take a sip of water in between sentences, that looks completely natural. And if you don't have water nearby, it's going to be maybe noticeable for your audience, but you will really notice that dry mouth and it's going to throw you off. It's going to derail that confidence, and I don't want that to happen to you. So have water nearby, have all your notes if you're using notes ready to go. By the way, try not to use notes. That's the ultimate test of a great speaker, is the ability to deliver a speech without notes. However, if you do have notes, you need to reference them. That's okay. Make sure you have those on hand. And in those 24 hours, you can take your preparedness to the next level if you follow those tips. Thank you so much for watching this video on what to do in the day leading up to delivering a speech. I hope it was of value to you. And if it was, please consider subscribing to my channel. Check out some of the other videos on my channel because I cover all sorts of things like how to do certain Toastmasters roles, how to give speeches at a wedding, depending which role you're doing at that wedding. There's a lot of content on there. Check it out. And otherwise, I will see you on the next video.